Hello, so far you've created your form and now we're going to add in questions for our students. So you probably figured out if you click on Add New, you are going to see all the different types of question possibilities that we're going to add. We're going to start with the choice. This one's good for obviously multiple choice and true false, and you can also use it for drop-down menus. You can also use it for select all that apply. So the first thing is you're going to type in your question. That's pretty self-explanatory. Since we're math teachers, you're probably wondering, well, how do I type in equations and like special characters for math? So the way you do that is you go down here to these three dots in the bottom right corner. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to scroll down to where it says math, and you're going to click on math. So what's going to happen is it creates a box just under your question where you can enter any of the math stuff that you might need to write. Now, keep in mind it does not have everything, but it does have most of the things we would typically use. The problem is when you're typing your question in, it's not going to let you use the math in this part right here. So you will need to format the way you ask your questions by saying see the equation below or in the function below, do whatever. The other option is many of us already have assignments, worksheets, etc. that we have used in the past that all we want to do is give our students that, but we want to be able to give it to them in an easy way. So you can actually insert pictures of each question, and that can save you a little bit of time. I use the snipping tool, which you can find, well, I have it on my tool taskbar down here, but if you type in right here, snipping tool, it'll pop up. You just open the assignment, you select the question that you want, including whatever graphs or pictures that you might need to use, save it as a image file, and then what you can do is once you're back on here, you click on Insert Media, click on Image, click on Upload, and then you just select whatever the picture was that you need to upload into your question. You might have also noticed that it's possible to insert a video as well. So you can use videos that already exist online through YouTube, or you can make a video and then link to it on here. It looks like my image didn't load all that well, so I'm going to refresh the screen. Okay, so while we're waiting for the image to load, we can talk about some of the other features on here. We'll go ahead and go through the answer choices. So if you want to add additional options, the default is always going to show 2 options, but if you need like 4, 5, or 10, you just keep clicking on where it says add option, and you will get more of these boxes that show up. When you click on it, because I had already selected math earlier to type in equations, it's going to default to answer choices that are in math format. But let's say you didn't want that, you wanted to type in actual words. Then what you can do is you go over to where it says ABC in the corner, and you click on that, and it will switch it so it's just normal text. You can switch it back to math by clicking on where it says 1, 2, 3, and it will give you the chance to go back to mathematical symbols. Okay, which I know this answer doesn't make sense with this, but let's just go with it. You may have also noticed that when you hover over each answer choice, you can, or when you've typed in an answer choice, that you get these 3 symbols that pop up next to it. Now the trash can is to delete, so if you realized you either put too many answer choices on there in the first place, or if you just want to get rid of an old answer choice, you can just click on the trash can, it will get rid of it. This little comment box is useful if you plan on having students be able to see all the answers once they've submitted. So if it's a formative assignment, you want them to have instant feedback, and you've made it so that they can see all the answer choices, you can have these comments here. I use them to explain to students why an answer choice is incorrect. And typically what I'll do is I'll put answer choices that use common student misconceptions to get that answer. And so that way we can address the misconceptions right away. You can also provide like a little motivational comment if you feel you need to, if they picked the right answer, like good job, or anything cheesy like that. If you don't plan on allowing students to view the answers afterwards, then you can decide not to do this and save yourself time. But there is an option that I will show you in a later video that will allow you to print all of the student responses. So when we do return to school, if you plan on using it on a dirt day or something similar, it might save you a little bit of time with the written feedback if you just do this now and it gives you the generic feedback immediately. The little check mark is what you need to click on for whatever happens to be the correct answer, or answers if it's a select all that apply. So you click on it. If you move your mouse away off the screen, there should be a little green check mark next to the correct answer, like right here. Okay. And when I clicked off of the question, in order to open the question back up to edit, I click on it again and it brings all this stuff back up for me. If you decide, oops, I clicked the wrong one, just click on the check mark again, and it makes it so that that answer is no longer selected as a correct answer. In order to assign point values to the question, you go down here in the bottom left and you just type in however many points you think this question needs to be worth. If you want this to be select all that apply, you go just to the right of the points in the middle where it says multiple answers, and you click on this little thingamabobber here and make sure it's green, and that makes it so that it's now a select all that apply question. Make sure that you put check marks next to all of the correct answers when you do that. Next to the multiple answers button, you have the required button. Now, as it is right now, the default is that the answer does not have to be, or I'm sorry, the question does not have to be answered. I don't like that, so I'm going to hit required because I think students need to answer all the questions. But if there's something that you just, like you don't want students just randomly guessing, or if you have another reason to let them turn it in without answering all the questions, you don't need to click that button. Now that the picture is loaded, let's go back up here. Now, let's say, like this is kind of big. It's not terrible, it's easy to read, but let's say the picture is an inappropriate size for the question. Either it's way too small or it's way too big. If you hover your mouse over the picture, you'll see that this little pencil and trash can in this bottom right corner pop up. You click on the pencil. This is going to allow you to change the size of your picture. There's really only two settings, small and large. There aren't any others. These magnifying glasses are basically zooming in on the image itself, but notice how it cuts off the image when you do that. So I generally do not use these at all. ABC can give some alternative text. So see number 6 in textbook for an example. For instance, you can do that. I generally don't really use the alternate text feature. And then of course there's a trash can there. So if you accidentally uploaded the wrong image, you can delete it. That's also a very useful feature for the next thing I'm going to show you. So let's say you put all this together, and because it's a formative assignment, you have a lot of questions that are similar. So for instance, you're having them practice factoring, and you're going to keep asking them to factor an equation, and you know all the questions are going to be worth the same amount of points. You want it to be the multiple answer, you want it to be required, etc. Then what you're going to do is go to the top here and you're going to click on these like two little sheets of paper thing here where it says copy question. You click on that, it makes an exact duplicate of the question you just made. And then all you have to do from there is just edit the information in here. So I can change my answer, I can change my picture, I can put it to a video instead, whatever you want. Another useful feature with these is, let's say I am going to have them factor. So x squared minus minus 4x plus 7. All right, let's say that's my equation. I'm telling them to maybe not factor, but solve for the x-intercepts of the following equation. Wow, I am bad at typing and talking at the same time. Good thing we can spell check it. Okay, so it will often give like suggested results. Now, sometimes these suggested results make absolutely no sense to your question, as you can see here, but sometimes they are exactly the kind of thing that you want. So this can also help you save time if you are making questions from scratch and you're not using another resource where you have pre-made multiple choice questions. So you can, if you click on the button Add All, it will automatically add them all here. Or if you only want to use some of these, you can click on them and it will add those particular answer choices. The next type of question you can do is a text. And the text questions automatically default to a short answer. So these are good for things like fill in the blank, or you're asking students to solve for X or something simple like that. You can type, if you click right here where it says add answer, this is where you put the correct answer to the problem so that the computer will auto grade. So like for instance, X equals 3 if I was having them solve something. Now, if you click on add answer, you type in whatever it is you want, you can click OK, it's on there. If you realize, oops, I didn't mean to type that, you just hover over the answer and click on the trash can and it will delete it for you. One thing to keep in mind is, let's say you put X equals 3, but then one of your students just types in 3. It's going to mark it wrong. But you might think that that's a correct answer. It depends on how you told them to answer the question and the instructions. But if it's a valid answer, you will need to go back and actually double check the auto grade for any of this style of question, because it commonly marks things as incorrect that are right answers. And that could just be because the student typed it in differently than you. You need to make sure to inform the students about this ahead of time. Even when you tell them ahead of time, they're going to forget, they're still going to panic, so just be aware of that. Once they get used to the format, they'll understand that as long as they put the correct answer, you will go back and double check to make sure that they're awarded points that they have earned based on their work. Down here, if you go to the bottom right where these 3 dots are and you click on that, you can click on restrictions. So let's say you do not want them to write words in, you can make it so that they can only type in numbers as their answer choices. You can have them, like if you're trying to give them a hint and you don't want them to put a negative answer in, you can say greater than and then put 0 in to like help give them a little hint about the work. Or you can pick other types of restrictions, equal to, number must be equal to whatever. You can kind of play around with it and figure out exactly what you might want to use that for. I don't tend to use this very often, but it is an option that is there for you. The other choice that you can have with this is, let's say you want students to write a summary about the material or give a more in-depth written response. If you click on the little button next to long answer, it will allow them to do that. It will give them a lot more space for the work. It will never ever auto grade the long answer. Actually, technically speaking, it just gives them a 0 for every long answer. You need to go in and grade it for kind of obvious reasons. If it has trouble with the short answer, it's definitely not going to be able to auto grade the long answer properly. The next possible choice you can do is rating. You can choose the scale you want, so anywhere from 2 to 10. You can do stars or numbers. It's your choice of what you prefer to do. You can enter labels for each. So if you decided to make it more like, you know, I have no idea what I'm doing. 10 is I could teach this better than you. I'm being snarky, but whatever. Then these can pop up so it can help like students gain a better idea of what we're starting and stopping with on the scale. Another choice is the ranking. This is pretty self-explanatory. The thing is you need to make sure to write the answers in the correct order so that it will auto-grade it properly. It will automatically generate the answer choices for the students so that they are not in the correct order. The last thing I want to say is if you have any questions about any of this, just shoot me a message. Oh no, I almost forgot. There's this awesome thing called file upload. Now, file upload is great for those questions that just don't make sense to do in this format. So for instance, if you want students to sketch a graph, or if you want students to make a table, well, it's going to be really difficult for them to type in a table using forms, but they could maybe make a table using Excel or Microsoft Word. So what you can do is have them like put the question in, like make a table to represent the equation, and then you write in the equation. And then they can make it and then upload the file to you. Or they can draw it on a piece of paper, take a photo, and upload it to you. So you aren't being limited to just these like computer Microsoft Forms style questions. The other thing is the one that they call Likert on here is really good for basically like a matching style question. So for instance, if you have less than 0, 0, greater than 0, okay, and then you can delete extra options that you don't need, and then you can say I don't know, dogs, cats, it doesn't matter. We're just doing an example here. You can set it up so students can pick matching. This is not going to auto grade because you cannot actually put the correct answer on this. So you will have to go through and like check it for yourself, but it is an option that you have available to you. So yeah, if you have any other questions on these, most of these are pretty self-explanatory if you use them. But you can, send me an email or a message, or if you happen to see me in person, you can just ask me in person. And the next video is going to be how do you share these with your students and with colleagues.